Upgrade is probably one of the most successful indie science fiction movies that I've ever seen. Because, I mean, you know this movie had a micro budget, but it looks almost on par to movies like Blade Runner 2049. I mean, it is amazing that they were able to achieve this with, well, I'm sure, with a micro budget.
What if I told you I could offer you something that would enable you to walk again? I call it STEM, a computer chip that has the potential to change everything. It's a new, better brain.
I am STEM, the system operating your body for you.
So Upgrade was directed by Leigh Whannell, and I know it's a little interesting story to this because my brother, when he was going to grad school in Clemson, South Carolina, he won a ticket to a premiere of Saw in Atlanta. And he went there and he actually met with them and he had a beer with Leigh Whannell. And they talked a bit about their favorite movies and the Saw itself. And he said that, I can't tell you exactly how much this movie was made, but it's even less than they're saying in Saw. And, you know, even though he said back then you could tell that this guy was going to go on to do really good, great things. And I think he really shows it with Upgrade. Because this is an amazing movie. I mean, it's so original and creative and artistic. And you see all the inspiration this movie has, but then they create something completely itself. I mean, when you put it on just what this movie is, it is a very basic revenge story. But it is so much more than that. Because, I mean, the world they create around, again, they don't say, oh, it's the year 2050, and this and this and this and this. It is none of that. All you know is that it is a couple of decades in the future, and you have these, like, people are, like, changing their bodies, like, they're almost become, like, meta-humans. Almost like they're, like, upgrading themselves. And you have other people, you have, like, technology where they're like fully automatic cars, and you get in there and you just kind of let them drive, you know, have a good time. And you know how they created the car they created. I mean, it looks really cool. It looks almost military-esque, but it looks like it's like completely blacked out all the windows. So like you're in this room essentially while the car is driving. And it's really, really interesting. I mean, incredibly well done for, I'm not sure what the budget is, but you know, it has to be tiny. And I mean, the like absolute max that any of the films that this production company makes is $5 million. And I'm sure it is way less than that. But I mean, what they're able to achieve is incredibly impressive. And one thing I loved about this movie is that it doesn't feel like it doesn't need to rush itself. You know, because for first of all, you know, you get, in the beginning, you have them, you know, interactions between the husband and wife, and you kind of get to see what their relationship is. Like, he's a little bit of a technophobe, and he, like, likes building and working on, like, classic cars. And, you know, she works for this company. It's like that helps replace limbs for the military, and when soldiers have lost limbs, it's like a tech company. And you know that they're different, but they kind of match. You feel that they love each other, and you know, of course, they can't spend too much time on that because she has to die. But you know, you get enough of that so that you feel for her when she does die. And then you also, like, once he's like in this attack, he's like paralyzed. And his wife is killed, and you know you get a decent amount of him being paralyzed before he gets STEM, before he gets upgraded, and I mean I'd like that because you get to feel for his character, you get to feel that you know he wants to kill himself, he wants to die because he's so used to using his hands and you know being able to walk, and now being completely paralyzed from the neck down, you know he is a broken man. And once then you get the STEM upgrade, the movie completely shifts into hyperdrive, and you get an excellent action movie. And honestly, if they gave Academy Awards for the most physical performance in a movie, they would definitely be giving it to Logan Marshall Green, who plays the main character, Gray Trace. Because he has to do so much with his body, and you know the acting is perfect for him, but it's so difficult. Because, I mean, he has to, for a lot of the movie, he has to be paralyzed. And then when he gets the upgrade of, like, the new brain and that can talk to him and it can control his body through his thoughts, like, that he has to kind of move like he's almost not controlling his body, and his face has to do something completely different from what his body is doing. And, I mean, he does it incredibly well. I mean, it works. You know, you wasn't sure if it would actually work, but it does. And it's accompanied by some superb camera work. Like, I'm not sure how exactly it did. You know, it must be a steady cam. But it seemed like almost they focused the camera, like, on the back of his neck where the stem is. So that, like, when they move, like, the camera, like follows it, but it's oddly. So it's, like, incredible camera work and incredible performance. And, you know, almost all the action scenes, they're in camera. There's hardly any cuts. So, like, you know, he has to be fighting. He has to be doing the acting with his face. There's so many things, so many steps in these scenes that I don't know if other actors could have done. Like, I mean, this is really a superb performance from him. I really hope he gets more movies out of this, because, I mean, he could be a good leading man. He does really well in this movie. And, you know, one thing I will say, if you're a little squeamish, you may not love this movie, because it's definitely, when Stem takes control and ends the people he's fighting, it can be a little brutal. And, I mean, they don't linger on the shots, like, so that's almost obscene. But you definitely do get some whoa moments. And, I mean, like, when people see a movie, you see going, whoa, and, like, laughing, and, like, also being, like, how crazy some of the scenes were. And also, it does have a little bit of humor. Like, I like, you know, the Stem character, you know, the AI in his mind kind of helping him control his body. Like, they do a lot of interesting things with him. And, you know, I like the, you know, interactions that they had, and, you know, the way the story goes. And, you know, I'm not going to spoil anything, but, you know, there's some tricky things, like, towards the end, and some of them, you know, I expected. Like, from the beginning, I thought, I don't know about, you know, I think that's going to happen. But then they do some other twists that I think really work. Like, I'm not sure if I absolutely love the ending, but I do really like it, and I get what it's going for. And I think that, you know, it's kind of ending where, when you look back at the movie, you can kind of see, oh, I see what they did there, and that links up with that. You know, it's kind of like, it's, you know, the best twists in movies are when you go back and watch it again, or just think about it, and you kind of see where the twist was coming. And I think that you can really be able to do that with this movie. I think that Upgrade will definitely be rewatchable. And I think that I wouldn't be surprised if it really becomes, you know, a cult classic, like another movie like Dread, because it is really good. And it's too bad that it didn't get released on more screens. You know, I had to travel like an hour out of my way to go see it. And, I mean, I think it did decently for this weekend. But I almost wish that they pushed it a little more and got more screens out and more publicity. And I think it could have been more of a hit. But then, I mean, you know, I'm sure, again, it probably already made back its budget in the first opening weekend, even if you only get like $3 million. But, so maybe, I mean, you could potentially do a sequel to this. I mean, it has to be different, or something in this world. Because this world is really interesting, and they could do a lot of things with it. Especially, I mean, like, I think a movie like Blade Runner 2049 cost like over $100 million. And they were able to do, like, with camera tricks and different things that another futuristic world in this for a fraction of that. So, I mean, if they can do it again, I'd love to see more of this. Because I really love this movie. Like, I'd probably give it, like, 9.5 out of 10. You know, it's honestly one of my favorite movies of the year so far. And I would highly recommend it. Again, the only thing is that if you're a little squeamish, you may not like it. But even then, I think it's not like it's full of that. So you can still enjoy the movie, I think. It's really a solid action science fiction thriller. Like, I mean, I loved it. And I hope other people check it out. So thanks for watching, and check out other video playlists that are on my head, or subscribe to me on that Z over there. Thanks.